What is a PK? That's a good question. A PK is a pastor's kid, or a preacher's kid for that matter. And I, Dr. Nycole P. Lyles-Belton, aka Dr. Nick, I am a PK. I'm a PK because I am a pastor's kid. My mother and my father are both pastors. My father is the senior pastor of our church, and our church is in Atlantic City, New Shiloh Baptist Church and Community Life Center, and my mom is the executive pastor of the church. And I have been a PK pastor's kid for, I believe, 28 years. 28 years, and that's a long time. I've been a pastor's kid, and a lot of the questions that I get when people ask me about being a PK is, how was life growing up for you? I know it was like strict, you couldn't do this, you couldn't do that, and I tell people, like, one thing about our father, who was our pastor and our bishop, who was also our father first, he didn't put total constraints on us, whereas we could not enjoy life. We were church kids, so what we knew was church anyway, but at the same time, we were still able to have some fun, what we consider fun. Now, there were some times that we wanted to go to parties, and I remember when we were in Wisconsin, he would let my brother and we could go to a party if the parents were home. So the parents had to be there. So if the parents were home and the parents are going to be there, my father had to call and speak to the adult who was in the house and make sure they were going to be home. And my father would drop us off and he would pick us up. And if it was a sleepover, my mom would talk to the mother and she would make sure the mom would be home, and that it was okay for the mom to let me come and spend the night. And the next morning, no lie, 8 o'clock in the morning, my mom was there to pick me up. I could not stay all day for breakfast and lunch. And my mom's like, you don't do that. You don't outweigh your welcome, and you don't, just stay too long. Like, I was the only one up in the morning rolling up my sleeping bag where all my other friends was sleeping, and I was getting up and packing up my stuff sleepy and waiting at the front door for my mom, because she didn't play that stay at people's house all day. Like, you don't outstay your welcome. You come, you have fun, and you go home. And that's what I did. And so that's how it was in Wisconsin. Now, when we moved to New Jersey from Wisconsin, it was a whole new world, like OMG. My father became a pastor when we moved to New Jersey in 1990. So from Racine, Wisconsin, all the way to Atlantic City, New Jersey, that was a long ride. And I can tell you that ride changed my entire life. It changed my life. It was a 13-hour ride, I think. It may have been longer than that. And I cried all the way from Wisconsin to New Jersey. I didn't want to come. I remember after service one Sunday, my dad sat us down and he said, we're going to have a family meeting. So whenever we had a family meeting, we knew somebody did something. So I'm thinking, and usually that somebody was me. I'm the only girl, so I was always getting in trouble, usually because of my mouth. I was always getting in trouble. And my dad sat us down and he said, I just want to let you know that in 2 weeks we're going to be moving. And me and my mouth, I'm like, moving where? He's like, to Atlantic City, New Jersey. And I'm like, in 2 weeks? Like, you've got to be kidding me. It felt like my heart just stopped. Like, it felt like everything within me just died. Immediately, I'm thinking, like, what about my friends? What about what I want? Can I stay here? Do I have to go? Maybe I can stay here with some family members, send everybody else on and I'll just stay here. No. We had 2 weeks to pack up and move. And we moved from Racine, Wisconsin to Atlantic City, New Jersey. And that is when the road to being a pastor's daughter started for me. Now, in Wisconsin, my father was already a preacher, so we were PKs. But when you move from being a PK to the pastor's child, to the pastor's kid, or the pastor's daughter, everything changes. When we came here to Atlantic City, and actually we're in our home, I'm in my home church right now, New Shiloh Baptist Church. When we came to Atlantic City, I was just starting going from middle school into going to high school. And I remember thinking to myself that I'm just not going to make it. This is absolutely horrible. This is absolutely the worst life that I could possibly imagine living. I don't want to be here. And so I purposely, the first marking period, I purposely failed all of my classes thinking if I get straight Fs, even in music, like I love music, but like I was doing things or not showing up to class so I could purposely fail because I did not want to be a pastor's kid. I did not want to be in Atlantic City, New Jersey. I wanted to be back what I was familiar with. So got straight Fs. So I'm thinking I'm going to bring this report card home and boom, Dad's going to say, you're not making it here. Send her back, ship her back home. Well, obviously my plan did not work, and instead I got on some punishment. My dad, at that time, we didn't have cell phones. I had a phone in my own room, and I had my own recorder for my own answering machine, and my dad took my answering machine. He took my phone, and I was on severe punishment. I couldn't go anywhere. He didn't beat me or anything, but I couldn't go anywhere. And he was proving to me that although this is not what you want, this is the way life is. I remember on the way from Racine, Wisconsin, coming to Atlantic City, I remember crying in the back seat. We had stopped at a rest stop, and I remember saying to my mom's like, what's wrong? Why do you keep crying? And I'm like, I want to go home. I want to go home. And she's like, we are going home. Little did she know how much I wanted to kick her chair so hard, like, go, we're going home. This is a mess. Like, my life is over. You are destroying my world. So it took me a year to get acclimated to moving away from family. When we moved to Atlantic City, New Jersey, we didn't know not one person. Not one person. All we had was each other. That's all we had. All we had was each other. The first family, the pastor's family, that's all we had. And the first Sunday, I remember the first Sunday that we got out of the car and people were there greeting us outside the car. And I was, getting out the car, being a pastor's daughter. And people were like, welcome, welcome. And I'm like, whatever. And my dad got me on the side of that church and was like, listen, you're going to get your attitude together. You're going to fix your attitude because we are here. This is our home. And these people want me to be their pastor. And you're going to be the pastor's daughter. And I'm thinking to myself, this is an absolutely horrible thing to do to a child. So I smiled through it. And I, as they say, grin and bear it. That's what I did. And because I was able to lean and depend on my brothers and my mother, that's all we had, and my father, that's all we had. We were able to make it. And I went through high school, and I started making friends, and things got better. And I started to be able to enjoy life as a pastor's daughter a little bit, coming into it. And not to say my father did not have an extremely large phone bill, because I kept calling back to Racine, Wisconsin. I mean, talking on the phone for hours and hours and hours, but I guess that was what came with the situation. You want me to be here? You pay the phone bill. Psych, just playing Dad. But anyway, so I made it, and went off to college. Went to Norfolk State University. It's one thing my dad did not play. He did not play education. He told me, like, on the campus of Yale University, my aunt was graduating from college, and I think I was like in second grade or something, and I was like, I'm not going to college. And my dad was like, you're going to college. You have no choice. You're going. And it was not a conversation after that. I just sat there and was like, I guess I'm going. And so I went to Norfolk State University, and my dad packed up the van. He packed up all of my things and made sure I had everything that I needed. And as I remember, as we were turning the corner on Corporal Avenue going to Norfolk State University, my dad said to him, I'm not taking care of no babies, Nycole. That's what he said to me. And I'm thinking to myself, like, what? I am here to learn. Did not know that when they pulled off that I did not have a curfew. I did not have a time I had to be in bed. I was in bed by 10 o'clock every night when I was in high school as the pastor's daughter. I was in bed. Not to say I wasn't sneaking on the phone in the middle of the night, because I did. But, speaking of that, I remember one night I snuck on the phone in the middle of the night. The phone rang, and my dad actually walked into the room, snatched the phone out of the wall, walked back out, and didn't say a word. I still had the phone in my hand, like, hello, 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 hello. Like, that's the kind of father that we have. Like, he's no nonsense. He's all love, but he's absolutely no nonsense. I think that's where I get it from. But I went to Norfolk State. I went to graduate from Norfolk State with a degree in special education, and I came. And I stayed actually in Virginia Beach for a year, and then got into some trouble, and I got myself into some trouble with some situations I should not have been in, and my father sent me a letter in the mail. And he said to me, I know that Virginia is nice, but it lacks some things. There's some things that you probably could do better in New Jersey. So just want to let you know that on this weekend, we're coming to get you. And I'm thinking, coming to get me from where? Like, they literally drove all the way from Atlantic City to Virginia Beach to pack me up to move me back to New Jersey. There was no, like, would you like to come home? It was, you're coming home, and that was it. And I was grown. I had a degree in college and everything. But at the same time, when you respect your family, respect your parents, and you respect their decisions, and he is the pastor, and he is your father, when he speaks, you listen. So they packed me up, and I remember my mom rode back with me, and I'm like, don't speak to me all the way home. Like, that's a 6-hour ride. I'm like, don't speak to me all the way home. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to talk to you. Just very, very angry. Misdirected anger, which a lot of PKs have. Misdirected anger. We take what happens in our own, individual lives as being a pastor's child, as being a pastor's kid, and we're angry about so many different things, and we hold it in sometimes, and then we lash out at other people because we are angry about some things that happen that we just don't know how to process correctly. So I had a lot of misdirected anger, and I did not move back to Atlantic City because I didn't want to be in Atlantic City. So I moved to Trenton, New Jersey, where my brother was. I stayed there for 2 years, and then there was something inside of me that was calling me, telling me that Trenton just wasn't enough. And that I needed to actually go all the way back home, not just to New Jersey. So I came back to Atlantic City, and I came back to the church, and I came back to help out at the church. I didn't know what to do. I just came back to the church.
There are people who watch your life, and they have no idea about what it means to be who you are. And they think it's great to be a mother. They think it's great to be a grandfather, or great to be a daughter or a son, or to have a job, but they don't know the hell that you go through just for you to be you.
I started coming back to the church, and I didn't know exactly what to do, so my mother guided me a lot along the way because I had never really been in ministry. I didn't know too much about ministry. I just knew I was the pastor's daughter. You come to church every Sunday, you go to Bible study, you go to Sunday school, you sit, you act right, you pay attention, you do what you're supposed to do. I sang in the choirs, and things of that nature, but I was never out front and involved in, taking leadership roles. And so my mom told me that she wanted me to start working with the choir and direct the choir. And I'm thinking, direct the choir? How? I don't even know what to do with my hands. I don't know how to move my hands. Like, how am I supposed to direct the choir? And before you know it, I went from looking like I was doing kung fu and karate to actually directing the choir. And it was something that I started to do. And to this day, I not only direct that one choir, which was the youth choir, I am over all of the choirs. And that's something that comes with being a PK. When you see a need, you jump in, and you may start off by saying, I'm just going to help here, I'm just going to help there. But when you're good at what you do, and you start to learn different, strategies to help to improve and to help to enhance things, you stay in that position, and because when you get in a position, God orchestrates things, and he sets things up so that you will be ushered in the situation or ushered into the position, and then he will qualify you, and then he will enhance your skills in that position. And to this day, I am still the choir director, and I absolutely love it. I love what I do. Is it easy? No, it's not easy, because as a choir director, although you may love what you do, I love to sing. I've been singing since I was 4 years old. Although you love what you do, it's not just being a choir director. It's not just directing the choir. It's not just teaching notes. It's also leading the choir. And then you lead the choir as not just I am the director of the choir, I am also the pastor's daughter. So there's a certain way as a pastor's daughter, as a pastor's child, that you have to conduct yourself, because everything you do as a PK, everything you do as a pastor's child, especially the girls, the pastor's daughters, it's different when you're a boy and you may act out, or a man and you may act in a certain position or a certain way. Certain things are expected. But when you are a pastor's daughter and you carry yourself in a certain way, you draw attention to yourself. So there are ways I have to watch everything I say. I have to watch everything that I do. Although I'm very serious about my job, and although I have to be no nonsense and stern sometimes, I still have to remember that everything I do is a reflection on my father, who is the pastor. Everything I do is a reflection on my mother, who is the pastor's wife and also the executive pastor. Everything I do is a reflection on my brothers who are the pastor's sons. So as the first family, everything we do is a reflection, not just on ourselves individually, but also on our father or our mother who is in position of authority at the church and who is the shepherd of the church, the overseer of the church.
It's transformed and transferred into our adult life. So now we have adults who are afraid of the dark. The adults who have night lights in their bedroom. Adults who have...
And in positions of empowerment, you have to deal with people. Now, there are some PKs and there are some pastors' kids who just come to church and they're in the pews, these pews that you see behind me. They come to church and they sit within the pews, and it's easy to hide in the pews when you're a pastor's kid because you come in and you go back out. But when you are a pastor's kid and you're out in front, you are almost naked. Not literally speaking, but you're naked as far as your whole life is exposed to everyone. So being a pastor's daughter, that's why this segment is called Help, I'm the Pastor's Daughter. As a pastor's daughter, my entire life has been exposed to my church. My entire life has affected my family, the good points and the bad points. So as a pastor's daughter, it's not easy because you are, as a pastor's child, now let me just speak as the pastor's daughter, because I'm a pastor's daughter, I'm going to speak as a pastor's daughter. As a pastor's daughter, you become a target. You can become a target for those who want to love on you because you are the pastor's child, and that's great. You also become a target for those who want to get close to you because you are the pastor's child, because they may have motives and they just want to be close to you because they want to be close to the pastor. And so you have to have a watchful eye for all of that. Then you become a target for those who want to pick you apart and look at everything that you say and look at everything that you do and expose your flaws and expose your weaknesses and expose the areas that you messed up and expose those areas and say that now it's your fault because you're the pastor's child. It's your fault that this didn't work, and because you're the pastor's child, it's your fault that that didn't work. Because you're in a position of leadership and you're the pastor's daughter, you're supposed to do things perfectly. Not understanding that pastors' kids are flawed too. Pastors' kids make mistakes too. So out of all the great things that pastors' kids do that may be outstanding, I have 3 different college degrees, a master's degree, of course, I talked about the bachelor's degree, a master's and a doctorate degree in leadership and educational administration. I empower so many children, I empower so many women, I empower so many adults, I empower even men. Still, the areas of my life that have been flawed, the divorces, as a pastor's daughter, you get married, everyone comes to your wedding. It doesn't work right, then the church knows about it as well. I have been married twice and I have been divorced twice. And it didn't just affect me. It affected my father. It affected my mother. It affected my brothers. And it affected the church. So as a pastor's daughter, there is no, I'm just going through a private matter, and because I'm going through this private matter, I can just close the doors of my home and deal with it privately. No, because even if I come in here and I put the face on of happiness, and that's what I do, and that's learned behavior. That's learned behavior of pastors' kids. We put the face on. We walk in and we put the face on like everything is okay. But when we go back home, we deal with our issues. We deal with our private matters the way we feel like we need to deal with them. So in spite of everything that I have done great, I have to be honest and say, as a pastor's daughter, there are some things in my life that were not so great that deeply affected and deeply hurt a lot of people because of my position and because who I am connected to. So as a pastor's daughter, it's not always easy, but one thing I do say always, we have a wonderful Father, and our Father, He shields us, and He protects us, and He covers us as best we can. But He doesn't see all the darts, and He doesn't see all the arrows that are thrown. There are people who will speak to us in front of our pastors, which are our parents, and there are people who will not speak to us when they're not around. There are people who treat us very beautifully, and the majority of the people in churches do treat pastors' kids very well. The fact of the matter is there's a small group of people who are absolutely horrible and horrendous to pastors' kids. Is it fair? Absolutely not. Is it right? Absolutely not. Does it come with the territory? Absolutely, yes. One thing my father always says, when you deal with people, you have potential for problems. And that is what happens when it comes to being a PK. You deal with problems, you deal with people, you deal with problems. And I absolutely love those who love on pastors' kids and who pray for pastors' kids. People even have, seminars for pastors' kids and conference for pastors' kids, because there's a lot that we have to carry. We carry the burden of the ministry. We do, because if we see an issue that needs to be taken care of and someone's not taking care of it, as a pastor's kid, we jump right in and we take care of it. We take care of it, and we will do whatever we need to do if that means our own personal life stops in order to make sure that the ministry goes forth. Because the fact of the matter is, although we weren't called to be the pastor, when our parents got called, we got called too. When our parents got called to ministry, we're a part of that calling too. So no, we're not called to get up every Sunday to preach, and we're not called to get up every, Sunday to do this and do that. Although my brother and I are preachers, and my mother's a preacher as well, we don't have that top position to take care of, but we do have a position in the church that we must take care of. No matter if we're happy or we're sad, when we walk through that front door, we are still in position of the pastor's child. And as a pastor's daughter, I can promise you that it has not always been well. I have not done everything right, and I haven't done everything that was wrong either. But I will say this, there is a challenge. There is a burden. There is a burden. And there's sometimes you have to sit back and pull yourself back and say, I have to find a way to balance this out. And this is something that I am learning now as the pastor's daughter. I have to find a way to balance out who I am and being a pastor's daughter. Because for so many years, I was just, you're Bishop Washington's daughter. Oh, you're Bishop Washington's daughter, right? I know you. Aren't you that pastor's daughter over there on Atlantic Avenue? I didn't have a name, and I was fine with that. Like, oh, I'm Pastor Washington's daughter, or I'm Bishop Washington's daughter. I have to watch the way I act because I'm Bishop Washington's daughter. But I had to come into who I am. I'm Dr. Nick, and I had to find my own name. I had to find my own voice. I had to find my own priorities. I had to find my own goals outside of the church. What is it that I want to do? I write books. I love that I write books. I have an organization that empowers women, Greatness in You Incorporated, and I love doing that. I travel the world. I speak on television. I speak on radio. I'm in magazine articles. I'm on billboards. I do all of this, but I could not do all of that until God helped me find me, because I honestly was lost behind the title of I'm the pastor's daughter. And now that I am the pastor's daughter, and I'm also Dr. Nick, I know who I am. I know what I want, and I'm finding ways every day to help balance out that pastor's daughter. And this is who I am. I'm Dr. Nick. I'm also the pastor's daughter. So when I walk out of my front door every single day, I'm Dr. Nycole P. Lyles-Belton, and I'm also Bishop Washington's daughter. And at the same time, those two people, those two entities coexist within inside of me. And because of the way I choose to please God, I am able to align those two people perfectly, imperfectly, every single day, to allow me to be able to do the things that I do. I carry all of my positions here at the church in ways that I am trying every day to become better as a youth pastor. I'm a member of the executive team, which means I have about 10 different ministries at our church that are my responsibilities, that are under me, that I must take care of. As I mentioned, I'm also over all of the choirs, and I help out in any way I possibly can. I just jump in because that's what you do as a pastor's kid. And at the same time, you sit back and you watch your parent. I sit back and I watch my father. And because I love him so much, and I am the only daughter, I'm daddy's baby girl, I watch him. And I have to find ways, because at the same time, although he is my pastor, he is my father. And sometimes people don't get that when it comes to pastors' kids, that we have feelings too. We have feelings too, and you see them as your pastor, which that is your pastor, whether it's a woman or a man, that is your pastor. But at the same time, that is our parent. And we have feelings and we have emotions that are attached to them, which means that we're not going to let anyone hurt them or anyone, sabotage them or anyone come up against them. So we're going to guard them in the best way that we possibly can. And I had to find ways, as I am now maturing, to be able to guard my parents and guard my love for them and still maintain my position in authority and leadership here at the church. And I'm getting a better handle on it. When I was younger, I did not have a good handle on it, because if you came at my father, shut it down. That was how I was. And a lot of PKs are still like that. And because you act like that, people don't get it and they judge you because of it, not understanding that. We have to understand that that's that person's child. The pastor has kids, the preacher has kids, and they have feelings and they have emotions that are tied to them. And because we do, this is why we do the things that we do. So as a pastor's daughter, I come in and I'm trying every day to be a greater asset to the ministry and a greater asset to my father, and not allow my personal life to affect and infect my father, my mother, my brothers. We are the first family. And as a pastor's daughter, I've not always done that right, but I'm working and I am learning. So through all of my situations and through all of my setbacks, my church knows all about it. These pews that you see in here are filled with people who knows who Bishop Washington's daughter is. They know the divorces, they know the children that I've lost, they know the friends that I have lost, they know the mistakes that I have made. They've seen my attitude, they've seen my failures, but they've also seen my successes, and they've also seen how hard I've worked. They also see how hard I work for the ministry. They also see how much I have grown as a person. And they also see me balancing out the life of the church and the life of who I am. So I want to say to all the PKs who are out there, don't run away from the church. Don't run away from ministry. There are so many PKs who just stop going to church because of the way that they are treated by the people who are in the pews. PKs all around the world who are walking around broken. PKs all around the world who don't even know how to find themselves or how to deal with life because they are so hurt and they are so broken. I want to say to you, don't let these church people run you away. Don't let them run you away, because at the end of the day and all day long, family first. Family comes first. And I thank and I praise God that I have a pastor and I have a father, my bishop, who has not allowed our family to go and be put on the back burner and at the bottom of the barrel, where everything else comes first and we are last. So the pastors, I want to admonish you to bring your family back in. Love on your children, love on your kids. Allow family to be family. Help that family grow and understand that although we are the first family, or although you are a pastor's kid, and although you are a pastor's child, we are family and we matter. Your feelings matter, your goals matter, your dreams matter, your worth matters, and you are important. And when you do that, we'll be able to see more PKs coming back to the church. We'll be able to see more pastors' kids helping out in the church, because they feel like when they come to church, they will be respected and not disrespected. When they come to church, they will be loved on and not cast aside.
I'm talking about the you on Monday night. You got to show up as that person on Sunday morning at 11. When you want to act crazy, you got to say, God, shut my mouth. Even if you got to bite your tongue till it bleeds, God, shut my mouth. When you want to get on Facebook and start typing out some crazy stuff, Lord, turn my electricity on. You have to, so I don't do what's going to mess up my witness. You brought me too far. Some of you have come too far to mess up your life. You have done too well with your life. You've been a mighty long way. Don't go back there. Point back there and say, I can't go back there.
Everything we do is exposed. And everyone won't get it, but those of us who are pastors' kids, we get it. We understand. We know when we pull up on that parking lot, there's something different that rises up in us. It rises up in us and it lets us know how we must conduct ourselves. It's just second nature. It's in us. This is what we do. We smile at everyone, even the ones we know who don't mean us well or our parents well. We love on everyone. We try our absolute best. And when we walk back out of there, out of the building and out, or pull back off the parking lot, then we go back to our regular lives. We go back to being family. One of the most important times that I absolutely love is on Sundays, when we get into my pastor's quarters and my father's quarters, when it's just the family. And it's the family together, and we're smiling and we're loving on each other and we're taking pictures. And it's not the family that is in front of the glass house exposed. We absolutely love that. I am telling you now that if you stick with your parents, but still find your own voice and find your own way and be able to balance all of that out, you can make it. It's a whole different life. It's a whole new world. For those of you who are just coming into it, I hope this video does not scare you at all, but just know that if you talk to your parents and you tell them what you're going through, and the parents, if you talk to your children and talk to them about what they may be feeling and experiencing daily and dealing with as a PK, then the family together will be able to make it. Help, I'm the pastor's daughter, but I'm making it. My name is Dr. Nycole P. Lyles-Belton, and I am Bishop Washington's daughter. I'm the pastor's daughter in every sense of the word. I've struggled, I struggle, but I am making it. To whom much is given, much is required. I am abundantly blessed because I serve. I'm not looking to be on a billboard first and then come back and sit in these pews and wait for someone to fan me and bring me water and rub my feet and massage me. No, I serve in ministry. I serve in ministry. I serve my pastor. I serve my father. I serve the ministers in the ministry of this church. And God blesses me and he does the rest. God rewards faithfulness. I don't go out in this world and serve the whole world and other ministries and other women's conferences and other platforms and then come back to my church when I have time. No, every Sunday that I am able to get here, the only time I'm not here is if I can't get a flight back home. But I am here every Sunday, and you will see me sitting in that pulpit and running around this sanctuary or running in the offices and doing this and doing that because I serve God first and I serve my pastor second, which is also my father. Help! I'm the pastor's daughter, and I'm making it. God bless you.